Africa will no longer bow to those who stole our future. From this moment we rise, not as nations divided, but as one continent claiming its destiny.
Across Africa, something big is beginning. It is not loud, not public, and not official. It is happening quietly, like a storm forming far away, but everyone can feel it coming. Two powerful names, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi from Libya and Captain Ibrahim Traoré from Burkina Faso, are now moving in the same direction. Even though they come from different countries and different life experiences, their goals are similar. Both want Africa to be strong, independent, and respected. Both believe that Africa should control its own resources instead of letting foreign countries take them. Many people in the West are worried because they know what will happen if these two leaders unite. Gaddafi represents wealth and a powerful political legacy that the West tried to destroy. Traoré represents fire, courage, and the bold new African movement that refuses to bow down. If these two visions come together, the whole balance of power could change. Across Africa, young people are talking, sharing, and believing again. They feel something new, hope, a hope that Africa can stand up for itself. This is not the future people were expecting, but it might be the future Africa needs. The world used to think the Sahel region, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Guinea was weak and unstable. But today the story is changing. Under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the Sahel has become a symbol of strength and resistance. Traoré did something many African leaders never dared to do. He expelled foreign troops, took back gold mines, and declared that Burkina Faso belongs to its people, not to outsiders. His actions did not stop there. Mali, Niger, and Guinea soon followed a similar path. They broke old agreements that allowed foreign countries to control their security and their wealth. Today, these Sahel nations are supporting each other instead of depending on foreign powers. Millions of Africans are now looking at them as examples of courage. But this rising front still has limits. The Sahel has military power, strong leadership, and national pride, but it does not have the economic strength of oil. That is why a connection with Libya could change everything. If the Sahel's revolution meets Libya's resources, Africa could start writing a whole new chapter. The world is watching, because the Sahel is no longer a battlefield, it is becoming a force. For many years, African governments followed a simple rule. Foreign powers make the decisions, and African countries follow. But now, for the first time in decades, African leaders are openly rejecting that idea. They no longer want negotiation from weakness, they want respect from strength. This is the center of the new Pan-African movement. What makes this equation powerful is that everyone can feel its direction. The Sahel countries are ready to defend their land and their people. Libya, on the other hand, has resources the world desperately wants: oil, gas, ports, and influence. If these two forces, military unity and economic power, connect, Africa would have something the world has not seen in 50 years: independence. Across African universities, markets, and online spaces, a new conversation is growing. What would happen if African countries unite? People are no longer scared to imagine the possibility. They are excited by it. This is what worries Western powers, because unity makes Africa strong, and division keeps Africa weak. The equation is simple but powerful. Sahel leadership, plus Libyan resources, African unity, a new Africa. And that is exactly what many young Africans are waiting for. If there is one thing that changed everything, it was not politics, it was money and minerals. The Sahel is full of gold, uranium, and important minerals. But for many years, most of this wealth was taken by foreign companies, while African nations remained poor. Military bases and foreign agreements protected this system for decades. But suddenly, that system is breaking. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have closed their doors to foreign military and economic control. Now imagine this: Libya, the richest oil country in Africa, aligning with this new movement. Libya has oil, ports, gas pipelines, and huge financial resources. The Sahel has military unity, courage, and a clear mission of sovereignty. If both stand together, Africa could control its own wealth for the first time in history. For Western governments, this is the nightmare scenario. Because if Sahel nations start using Libyan ports to trade, they will no longer need Europe or the West. If African oil and minerals circulate inside Africa, instead of being exported cheaply, foreign control collapses instantly. This is why people call it an economic earthquake. It would not only change Africa, it would shake the entire world. Africa is going through a very special moment, something we have not seen in many decades. For a long time, decisions about Africa were made in foreign capitals. Paris, London, Washington, they decided, and Africa followed. But this time things are changing. African nations are no longer waiting for permission. They are choosing their own path and their own partners based on what benefits their people, not foreign powers. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi and Ibrahim Traoré have become powerful symbols in this change. Gaddafi represents the memory of an Africa that once dreamed big, that wanted unity, independence and respect. Traoré represents the Africa of today, young, confident and unafraid to take bold decisions. When these two ideas move in the same direction, something huge becomes possible. From Ghana to Kenya, from Ethiopia to South Africa, young people are talking about a future where Africa controls its own destiny. For the first time, the dream of African unity no longer sounds like fantasy. It sounds like a plan. Western governments can already feel this change, and they know that if Africa becomes united politically and economically, the old system will fall apart. The continent is shifting, and the world can't stop it. Many people think this change is coming in the future. But the truth is, it has already started. You can see it in the decisions taken by Sahel nations one after another. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Guinea have rejected foreign military control, ended unfair mining deals, and started building security systems that protect their people first. This is the first time in a long time that African leaders are acting together, instead of separately. Across these countries, national pride is rising. People feel hope again. Many young Africans now say, "We do not need outsiders to survive. We can protect ourselves." This mindset is powerful because it makes unity possible. The Sahel, once considered weak, is now inspiring millions across the continent. The only missing piece is economic power, and that is why Libya matters. When the military strength of the Sahel meets the economic strength of Libya, Africa becomes stronger than ever before. This is not a dream. It is already happening step by step. Every decision, every alliance, every new partnership is taking Africa closer to a new era. The shift has already begun, and it is moving fast. Western intelligence agencies call what is happening in Africa dangerous or unstable. But Africans see it differently. They see a continent waking up after many years of exploitation. They see countries that finally believe in themselves. They see leaders who are willing to sacrifice for their people instead of obeying foreign orders. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi carries a legacy that many Africans remember, the dream of African unity and independence. Ibrahim Traoré carries the determination and courage of a new generation that refuses to accept weakness. Together they represent the past and the future, the memory and the awakening. Across villages, cities, schools and online spaces, Africans are speaking more boldly. Africa has everything it needs to be strong. We do not need help. We need freedom. We do not need aid. We need control of our own resources. This mindset is the real revolution. It is not about war. It is about confidence, dignity, and self-respect. A sleeping continent is now opening its eyes, and once Africa fully awakens, nothing can stop it. Not sanctions, not pressure, not propaganda. The world is watching history unfold. The biggest question now is, how far will this movement go? Nobody knows the exact future, but many possibilities are already visible. If Libya stabilizes under nationalist leadership and the Sahel continues to build military strength and unity, Africa could enter a completely new era. There could be a powerful new trade system that keeps African wealth inside Africa. There could be a new security network that protects African nations without foreign soldiers. There could be a new political voice that stands strong on the world stage. Some experts think a partnership between Gaddafi and Traoré is coming. Others believe a new economic corridor will connect the Sahel to the Mediterranean through Libya. Some talk about a regional military alliance stretching from the Atlantic coast to North Africa. Whatever happens, one thing is clear: the old colonial influence is fading, and a new African order is rising. This moment could be the beginning of Africa's long-awaited transformation, or the storm before a big breakthrough. But Africans are not afraid anymore. They are ready to fight for dignity, unity, and sovereignty. The next chapter is already being written, not by foreign powers, but by Africa itself. At the center of everything, there is one truth: whoever controls Africa's resources controls Africa's future. For many years, foreign companies took Africa's gold, oil, diamonds, uranium, and rare minerals at very cheap prices. They sold them in global markets for huge profits while African countries remained poor. To protect this system, foreign governments kept troops, military bases, and political pressure inside Africa. But now, that system is breaking apart. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Guinea are no longer accepting deals that benefit outsiders more than their own people. They have started taking back mines, oil fields, and trade routes. Libya, if it joins this direction, becomes the most important piece of the puzzle because it controls the largest oil reserves in Africa and strategic ports on the Mediterranean Sea. If African resources stop flowing cheaply to foreign countries and instead circulate within Africa, everything changes. African countries could build their own industries, create millions of jobs, raise living standards, and become powerful instead of dependent. This is why the battle for Africa's resources is not just economic. It is political, it is strategic, and the side that wins this battle will shape Africa's destiny for generations. We are living in a time that future history books will talk about. For decades, Africa was divided not by choice, but by outside influence. Countries were kept weak so they would never unite. Leaders who dreamed of African unity were removed, and those who obeyed foreign powers were supported. But that era is slowly ending. A new African order is forming, not through big speeches or official agreements, but through action, confidence, and courage. The Sahel has shown that Africa can defend itself. Libya has the power to bring economic strength to this new movement. And millions of young Africans now believe that unity is not just an idea, it is possible. This new African order means something simple. Africa first. African resources for Africans first. African security without foreign armies. African decisions made by African leaders. The world is watching because a united Africa would be one of the most powerful regions on the planet. And the movement is no longer a dream, it has already started. The only question left is, will African leaders stay united and finish what has begun? The next chapter of Africa is not being controlled, it is being written by Africans.